Hi guys, this is Sirak, and I'm just here trying to make a Diablo 2 RPG tutorial. So I know that a lot of people who play this map, who are new to download this map, may not know exactly how to play because there's a lot of information and it might be overwhelming. The host may not be as helpful as I am when I'm trying to host. So I'm going to try to give a brief introduction to this scenario, and hopefully help you become a better player and probably beat this map as a result of it. So the first thing that I'd like to do is after the introduction of the map, what you're going to do is you're going to find the difficulty settings. There are three difficulty settings. There is the normal difficulty, the nightmare difficulty, and the hell difficulty. Player 1 here starts with a king that's patrolling, and as you can see, these are the three difficulties here. And all you have to do is just use the king to pick one. Now the normal difficulty is definitely the easiest. It's basically the leisurely difficulty compared to the other two. The other two are much harder, and I would only recommend picking those if you know what you're doing or you've already beaten normal. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to go ahead and just pick the normal one. So once we pick normal, what you're going to do is you're going to be able to pick between three different hero classes. So here at the bottom, we have a horse, which now I can use to go ahead and pick the rogue or the sorcerer. Now, each of these have different bonuses, different classes, and different playstyles. So the Barbarian is definitely the tank of the group. He's very strong and he likes to use his shouts to buff his allies. And it gets incredibly good late game because he's basically like a staple to this game and makes it a lot easier to go through. The rogue is an archer. A lot of people end up taking the rogue and they don't realize that it's a lot harder to hit and run in this game than you'd like. The enemies, especially at the beginning, won't take too much damage from your arrow. So it's I highly recommend for the players who know what they're doing, because later on the rogue becomes incredibly powerful, but you just would have to get through the early stages of the game. The sorcerer, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. It actually shines early game, but late game falls a little behind, becoming more of a support role, which is as intended. So right now we're going to just go ahead and grab the sorcerer just for the purposes of this video. So what we're going to do is we're going to look into hints, and we're going to go in through the skills that each of the heroes have, just to explain a little bit about them. So as I've picked the sorcerer, I now have access to his skill tree, which becomes available to me right here. The rogue here is in the middle, and then the barbarian is at the far left, which would be enabled had I picked any of them. Now once I pick my character, player 2 is free to go ahead and pick theirs, and then subsequently player 3. And as you pick those, you'll have access to your own skill trees for each hero. So for the sorcerer, we have the enchant weapon, we have heal, we have drain life, we have warmth, and then we have the three universal skills that are shared between all of the other players, which are inner sight, we have prayer, and we have looter. Now as you can see, they're level 1 and they can be all go on to level 3. The first question is, how do I get to level 2? Level 2 unlocks at level 6, and level 3 unlocks when you hit level 12. This is kind of to slow down your progression so that level 3 skills can actually be more powerful the later on the game, but won't be able to have access right away. So we're going to go and just look at a little bit what they do. So you can find all the information here in the hint section. So for the sorcerer, what happens is we can enchant weapons. So for 30, 50, or 70 wood, wood is your mana, so it'll always slowly be generating until its maximum. At the start, the maximum is 50, but as you invest in energy, it'll actually grow up to 100, and if you get to Act 5, it'll be going to 150. But that's for a little bit later. What we're going to do now is we're going to go through. So for 30 wood, I can get 15 attack and 10 armor, but that's only for the level 3. And my allies, so 5, would get 5 attack, for 90 seconds. They'd also get 4 armors if I had the level 3 enchant. So as you can see, this actually gives armor, which is really useful later on, as armor becomes very important to be able to not to have to go back and heal every 2 minutes. The Sorcerer also has a heal, so that's for 30 wood, you instantly heal 50, and that heals all allies regardless of where they are on the map. It's instant, so you don't have to worry about it. You just pay the 30 wood, and boom, you automatically get the HP that's for the heal at your current level. Drain Life is probably one of the most powerful for the Sorcerer. So for a small price of 2, 4, or 6 wood every 3 seconds, you get an increase in attack of 20, 50, or 80 depending on the level. And you also end up healing 20, 50, or 80 for every kill that you got while it was activated. Warmth is a passive skill, so those are ones you don't actually need to activate. I'll show you how to activate in just a moment. But you end up passively gaining an extra wood. So for level 1, you get an extra wood every 10 seconds. Level 2 is every 5, and you'd get an extra wood every 2.5 seconds at level 3. The universal skills, these are the shares, so I'm just going to go over with the Sorcerer. So Inner Sight, every time that you have a kill, you have a small chance of increasing your attack by 1. That chance increases as you go up to level 2 and level 3. This is probably one of the most powerful skills in the game alongside with Prayer. So Prayer is the exact same thing as Inner Sight, except that instead of gaining 1 attack, you would be gaining 10 hit points after each kill. Looter, it's the same thing as Inner Sight and Prayer, however you get 2 gold for each kill. And then what we're going to do is I'm just going to go quickly over the Rogue and the Barbarian. So the Barbarian, so you have Berserk, which is another variation of the Drain Life, except that you get extra attack instead, and you lose a little bit of armor for that attack, but you don't actually get to heal. So for 2, 4, 6 wood every 3 seconds, you get an increase in attack. This is particularly powerful, especially in higher difficulties, to bypass boss armor. Defensive Shout is a super skill for the entire party. It buffs everyone. So for 20 wood at level 1, you gain 50 HP, and this is a temporary 50 HP. And 3 armors, and this gives to all allies, so yourself included, as well as the Rogue and the Sorcerer, for 2 minutes. So these are great for if you're in a tight spot, or you're having a little bit of trouble, or there's a boss that you need to kill. Definitely use Defensive Shout. It'll definitely get you out of a tight spot. Offensive Shout is the exact same thing as Defensive Shout, except that instead of giving HP and armor, it does give an attack boost. So you can see here it gives 10 attack for level 1, 58 for level 2, and 100 for all for 2 minutes. Natural Resistance is a passive, so you don't have to activate that. So you're going to end up healing 3, 6, or 10 every 10 seconds. I do realize that this isn't much at the later game. However, you also get a permanent 1, 2, and 3 armors. And so for every for each the levels, and these actually stack. So at level 3, you gain an additional 6 armor just from getting level 3 natural resistance. The Barbarian also has the 3 universal skills, but we've covered those already. The Rogue, so they also get the universal skills, but I'll go over the critical hit. So critical hit is it basically a passive, so once you activate it, you don't have to worry about activating it. The Rogue doesn't actually have too many activation skills, so if you're a player that is less micro heavy, the Rogue is probably easier for you, although you will probably have to micro your Rogue a lot more. So critical hit, you have a chance to gain 10 attack for 1 hit, and by 1 hit I mean about 3 seconds. So it doesn't cost you anything to get that buff. It automatically applies, and basically you have no control over when that's activated. It's a random chance. You will get that. It will automatically apply regardless if you're in combat or not. So when you have critical hit or dodge, as you will see, your stats will actually go ahead and boost and decrease, like they'll be jumping all over the place, so don't be alarmed if that's the case. This is just your skills being in effect. So for dodge is the same thing as critical hit, except that instead of gaining attack, you will be gaining armor for about 3 seconds. Herbalist is the rogue heals spell. It also heals all players on the map, except that instead of being an instant heal like the Sorcerer, it's a small heal over time, but you heal all in about 25 seconds. So for level 1, you heal 50 for the cost of 30 wood. Natural Luck is a very strong skill, but it's you will see that it's actually better to get this a little bit later game. So it's the same principle as like Looter, except that it gives a little bit extra to the rogue. So you get you have a very small chance to gain 1 wood, gold, or stone per kill, and those are cumulative. So if you're incredibly lucky, you might get 1 wood, 1 gold, and 1 stone for 1 kill, depending on how lucky you are. And as I've said, the rogue also has access to the 3 universal skills. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to explain the stone mechanic. So once you actually get a kill, which I'm hoping to do here, you'll be able to get resources here. So for every kill that I get, I will get 2 gold and 2 stone. And if I got the kill, that means that the rogue and the barbarian will get 1 gold and 1 stone apiece. And it's inversely true that if they get a kill, I would also get 1 gold and 1 stone. This is just to help make sure that players are not left behind or too far when the skills are activated. Sorry, the the quest came on and it kind of threw me off. So I've got a kill, and as you can see, I've got 3 right now, so I've got 6. And as I kill more, we're going to actually level up in just a minute, and I will actually show you how to actually buy a skill. So now I've hit level 1, and I'm just going to go back to Kane just to make sure I don't die. So when I hit level 1, and it'll actually show you, and it will actually have a sound pop up and everything, you can actually use this donkey, which is your skill point, and you can just go ahead and move it into any of the skills. So what I'm going to do, just for the sake, is I am going to get the heal spell, just to showcase how to activate. So once you activate, once you actually buy the heal spell, you can see that my king here can actually move up to the relic, but as before it couldn't. So you'll have a stone head in the way. So if I actually moved up here right now, I would take 30 wood, and my sorcerer, alongside with my allies, would actually be able to be healed 50. So we're going to talk a little bit about stone. So stone is important because it's basically how you buy and control some of your stats, because this definitely will make you stronger. So if I'm going to put my king here on strength, I will be using my stone to gain attack power. So every time that I do here, it's going to cost me 8 stone, and I will go ahead and gain an extra attack for every 8 stone that I spend on here. Now, as you can see, there's ratios down here, and that applies to vitality and energy, which I will both explain a little bit in a couple of minutes. So for the ratios, as you can see, there's the Barbarian, the Rogue, and the Sorcerer, so B, R, and S. And it actually shows you how much stone it costs to purchase 1 strength. So for the Barbarian, it would cost 7 stone, which is cheaper than what I'm currently paying as the Rogue. As the Sorcerer, and again, 2 stone cheaper than the Rogue. And if for some reason I decide to go and buy Vitality, the Barbarian again would be at 7, the Rogue would be at 8, and the Sorcerer would be at 9. So for me, the buying HP is a lot more expensive than both the other classes. For energy, basically it's a bit cheaper for me because I have it at 7 stone, as you can see right here. For the Barbarian and the Rogue, they're both at 9 each. So as you can see, the Rogue has a bit more pricey stats, and that is offset by the skill of Natural Luck. where in the long run you will end up getting more stone with natural luck than what you're currently paying. But it's a nice way to actually make sure that the rogue is a really late game character instead of a early and late game. Um, so vitality actually gives you hit points, and energy is a little interesting because it actually helps use it increases your wood maximum as well as your wood regeneration rate. One of the users just recently pointed to me that I should probably explain this a little bit more because if you put 1 point in it, you won't actually see a difference. There are certain thresholds, and I believe it's around 8 points that you have to buy to actually see a difference. So if I bought 8 points of energy, I would actually see that my wood maximum, which is now at 50 and will not be going any higher, would actually be going up to 60. And then 70, and then it would increase my regeneration all the way up to 100. And then at Act 5, you would actually have it go up to 150. There's a cap on energy, so you don't have to worry about spending stone that you don't need. You can only buy it 60 times, but there's no such cap on strength or vitality. Now, as you can see, I've got also a little bit of food. It used to be at 0, now I have 5. The reason why that is because I actually bought 5 strength. So on top of my 2 levels, I should have +7. So every time that you grow a level, you get a little bit more hit points, and you also gain 1 attack. Which is why I have 10 plus 7. I used to be at 10. Now I bought 5. The reason why you get food is also a balancing mechanic. So you can't always just say, oh look, I'm gonna one-shot everything in this game. I'm just gonna go and stack every stat that I have on attack. So once you hit 100 food, you'll get actually a prompt in game saying that you will start losing 8 hit points for every you have so far. Now that only applies if you have 100 food. So anything over 100 will go ahead and reduce your hit points. There's definitely ways to reduce your food count. So if you're playing with other players, if they get a kill, regardless of who does it, you have a small % chance to lower your food count. So it makes it so that if they get a kill, they get their bonus, and then you have a chance of getting there. So if you're a little behind, you're able to invest more into your strength, so you're able to kill and not just fall behind and not be useful at the end of the game. And then as you go on, we're gonna get more and more gold, and we can go ahead and buy items. So the red carpets in town, they're always shops. So when I step on there, I spawn a horse here, and then I can go ahead and buy my items. So we can buy certain things. So these are weapons on the left, the armors here on the right. The armors here on the right that are locked off, they're for 900 gold. They're actually locked off until you complete Act 2. So once you complete Act 2 and you finish the final boss on there and you can move on to Act 3, these will be unlocked and available to purchase. So all you have to do basically to purchase is that you have to just you have to have, first of all, the gold that you require to purchase the item, and then you just have to move your horse into the slot. So right now I don't have 75 gold, so I'm going to move my horse into the slots and nothing happens. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and buy an item. Actually, I need a little bit more gold to do that, so we're going to go and fight a little bit more. And what's going to happen is it's going to move my screen to one of these wonderful places. So this guy here, my king, you can equip an amulet. This one here can equip the rings, and this one here equips a weapon, and over here he equips the armor. Now, as you can see, I only have one king, so he can only go into one slot. The king has to go into the slot for the weapon or item to be active, and I will actually try to showcase that in a minute as soon as I can afford one. So as we're fighting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just show you everything. All the items are actually listed in the shop in the Scouts tab. So Again, it says just here what I've just said. So when purchasing a ring, amulet, weapon, or armor, to equip the item, you have to move the king into the opened slot. And that you can only equip one of each at a time. So you can only have one weapon, one ring, one armor, and one amulet at any time. And then you can actually see who the shops are. So if ever you're looking for where the shops are, so for Akara, Lysander, Ormus, Jamela, and Mala, you can find the potions, the rings, and the amulets throughout the game. As you'll see that we're going to actually end up changing shops as you keep moving through the acts. And then you can see Charsi, Farah, Heraldly, Halbu, and Larzuk for the weapons and armor. And you can actually see what each do before you decide to buy it. The only thing that's actually not 100% accurate is the Stone of Jordan. It doesn't actually give you that 1 gold per kill. It just converts all your gold to stone as a 1-to-1 ratio. But everything else listed on here is completely accurate. And I will go into the potions tab in just a second. So as we're gonna continue fighting here, I'm going to explain the potions. So this is the potions area. It's literally at the topmost part of the, I guess, the shop or whatever you'd like to call that section. So right now, you start the game with a small HP potion. So what that does is it heals me for 50, which it'll actually say here how much it will heal. It increases as you move through the acts, so as you keep going, your potions will become stronger with you. So in Act 1, small hit point potions will heal for 50 over 10 seconds. A mana potion will heal for 30 over 10 seconds. So just to make sure that you have all the 3 types of potions, and it actually shows you how much you recover for each act. So, as I'm pretty low, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to use my skill. So I'm just going to use my king, and we're going to heal. So you saw that now I'm down by 30 wood, so I've used my heal. And we can check that I've actually did heal for 50. Now I'm still dying, and I don't have enough wood, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate my potion and just show you what it does. So to activate the potion, you always have to just cross the ice. And as you can see, I'm healing slowly by 10 every about 5 or 2 seconds or so. So, okay. I've got enough for a weapon, so I'm going to go and head back. And I'm going to go to the shop and I'm going to go buy myself a weapon. Now, if ever you get lost in this game, it's pretty simple. The first objective tab will actually tell you exactly what you're doing. I've tried to make this as streamlined as possible, just to make sure that you don't get lost and you can kill as many enemies as possible. I'm thinking about maybe making an open world one at some point, but as this took me 8 months, it's not going to be anytime soon, unfortunately. So, as my guy eventually goes and gets to the shop, we're going to see that we're going to get the horse right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to buy Storm Eye, which is my favorite weapon for the Sorcerer at the beginning of the game. Alright, so we just bought it and it automatically transported me to this screen where I can just go ahead and equip my king here. So what I can do is I can check. So I have 10 plus 20, so I've bought a lot of strength because I have 9. I've also got inner sight, so I must have gotten a little bit lucky on my rolls. But just to show you what it does, so if you see, if I unequip my king here, I actually lose my 5 attack bonus that I would have gotten from Storm My Weapon. So if I go here, oops, sorry, the wrong tab. So I would go ahead and get Storm Eye, so it gives me 5 attack, and then I heal 10 HP per kill. So that is active as long as I keep my king here. If I move my king out, I will not be getting those bonuses anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and show you. So there's a chest here. So these are the looting system. So if you find mini bosses, so bosses that aren't exactly required to kill, they'll actually give you some extra loot. And some of the bosses, especially the end of the act bosses, will also end up giving you extra loots and extra stuff as well. And all of this is completely random chanced. It's a system that I designed so that you know, there's a lot of replayability, and there's a lot of goodies to be had from just going on these chests. Now, the chests are, it doesn't matter if you're first or the last person. Any hero can step on it and get the goodies. When you kill the boss, it doesn't matter if you're close to it or you're in town. You will still end up getting the loot as well. So as the game progresses, you'll eventually get to Act 4, where you'll be able to unlock the superpowers. Now, superpowers are very interesting because they're skills that require you to have other skills. So, for example, for the Sorcerer, once I get to Act 4 and I kill the second objective, which is to destroy Mephisto's Soul Stone by killing Hellfaster the Armorer and the Blacksmith. As long as I have a level 3 heal, a level 3 drain life, a level 3 warmth, what happens is I will get my superpower, which means that my heal is now 500. Otherwise, it'd be at 300 for level 3. And Drain Life passive is added to everyone. So everyone is able to share in my skill Drain Life, and they get to heal 50 on a kill, and this is applied individually as well. So my Sorcerer will also heal 50 regardless if his Drain Life is on or not. If his Drain Life is on, then he will heal 50 plus the extra 80 for the level 3. So very good to have. And then you can read the other ones for the other superpowers. They have different requirements, and it's always the unique skills for each class. So the Barbarian needs 3 unique Barbarian skills. So it'll never be Inner Sight, it'll never be Prayer, and it'll never be Looter. So once you get to that point, you may want to plan for getting your superpower, because they really help improve the synergy between all the heroes. The Rogue especially becomes incredibly powerful because it ends up giving 20 armor when they're healing. So it's incredibly strong, especially for the last act of this game. So imagine all is going well and you eventually get up to Act 5. What you can do is you can end up buying an extra skill. So for 1,000 gold, you'll be able to move your hero into this carpeted area here in front of the university. Unfortunately, he hasn't named yet because the trigger hasn't happened. But you'll be able to buy a skill, and the skills here that you can buy are actually listed down here in the scouts. So for the Barbarian, you'd actually get an extra weapon. So you'd get an extra king to equip another weapon, which is extremely powerful. The Sorcerer gives... so each enemy death gives the Sorcerer an extra HP. So again, to balance the stone cost at the beginning of the game. If you get to Act 5, you'll be getting a lot of hit points as long as the enemy keeps dying. You get a lot more hit points as long as it's the Sorcerer that kills versus say the Barbarian or the Rogue. For the Rogue, you actually get a passive chance to deal more damage, and again, that's a party buff. So it's like critical chance or critical hit, but for the entire party, which is also really good. If you're lucky, and there's a couple of spots that you can get those, there are full rejuvenation potions that you can find. They're going to be the Water Buffalo, and they're going to be in the mana section of the potions that you get. They recover full HP. I say full HP, but it's actually 15,000 hit points, which I didn't believe anyone could find, but I was wrong. And you also recover 150 wood instantly, so you recover your health and mana pretty much to full, so you can keep using your abilities and you can continue the fight. Those are extremely powerful, so unless you're about close to death, I wouldn't recommend using them. And that's pretty much it for what I wanted to speak to you about today. I really hope that you're enjoying the map, and I hope that this tutorial has made it so that you can go ahead and have a little bit more knowledge on how to play the map, and hopefully beat it, and play higher difficulty just to try it out. Alright, so take care, and until the next video.